Ken Wisenhunt is 3-19 in his 1+ seasons as head coach of the Titans. But again, as well as they played in the first half at home against Atlanta, up 7-3. Still a struggle. 5 straight losses. You see Bill O'Brien tweak some things with their practice schedule. And Salmon, if you lose the way they did last week, if you're a head coach, you'll try just about anything.
Yeah, and you have to. I think it starts with playing better defensively. But also, both coaches need their quarterbacks to get off to a good start in this ball game. And right now, Brian Hoyer knows he's the starter the rest of the way. I think he's got to rest on that, be comfortable in his position, and come out and play well.
NRG Stadium on a rainy, gray Sunday here in Houston. This is Keith Mumphrey from his own end zone. Crosses the 20, and a nice-looking return out close to the 23-yard line. 29 yards officially on the return. So here comes Brian Hoyer. Struggled last week, as did this entire team. The question now, Solomon, can he regain his accuracy and his confidence?
I think what they want to do is come off to get him out to that good start. Allow him to do the things that come natural to his ability. You're going to see him a lot in the shotgun. Lots of bubble screens, quick passing, just to kind of gain some rhythm in the early going of the game.
Hoyer began the season as their starter. Lost the job quickly to Ryan Mallett as the back and forth has continued to where we stand here in week number 8. That first down pass batted down by Derek Morgan, the linebacker. Starters for the Texans in front of Hoyer. Brandon Brooks out with the toe injury last week, back. And that is good news for this offensive line. Meantime, they begin life yet again without Arian Foster, that devastating tear of his Achilles. So Alfred Blue makes his first start and is their primary running back for the first time since week 3. And what a game he had in that game against Tampa Bay. Rushed for 139 yards as they look for more of the same. Second down, the pass is caught by Blue out of the backfield, showing some of his versatility as Blue is forced out of bounds after a pickup of 6 by the safety Michael Griffin. Meantime, this defense, one of the best kept secrets in the NFL. Jarrell Casey has had some monster games against the Texans. Brian Orakpo, what a free agent acquisition he has been, coming over from Washington. And Cody Sensabaugh making the start today. Parrish Cox, their free agent acquisition from San Francisco, out for a second straight week with a knee injury. 3rd and 4. A Texans offense that is now the last team in the NFL that has not scored a point on their opening drive this season. Hoyer on 3rd and 4. His pass near side incomplete. So that trend will continue. That pass intended for Nate Washington.
He had guys open over to the left side, and that's where he's got to be able to see and get the ball to his first initial. We talk about getting the ball out. Watch, he's going to come here, but then you see he's late. See, right there, he should have thrown it, but then he comes late to the other side. That pass could have been intercepted, but he's got to pull the trigger much sooner.
We know that they've had a lot of games here with Arian Foster being on the shelf the last couple of years, so not uncharted territory, but a huge adjustment that they have to make after their offensive leader went down late in that game in Miami last week. 52-yard punt from Shane Leckler as Zach Mettenberger comes onto the field. You see the 0-7 career record as a starter. Second straight start with Mariota still on the shelf.
Yeah, with Doji, he's got a big-time arm. And they do change things offensively when they go from Mariota to Mettenberger. He's more of a traditional pocket quarterback, where Mariota, he's a guy that's got athleticism, mobility to get out of the pocket. So if you're Mettenberger, the protection has to hold up, but he's got to be accurate throwing the ball down the field.
On 1st and 10, this is Antonio Andrews supplanting Bishop Sankey as their lead running back, and a good start, 9 yards, tackled by the safety Andre Howell. 3rd different starting center for the Titans in as many weeks. It's Joe Looney. Andy Gallup, who started last week, got to the concussion protocol a little bit late. You just saw Andrews, career best 57 yards rushing a week ago in that loss to Atlanta.
If the Titans want to come away with a win here on the road, they've got to have success running the football with Andrews and Dexter McCluster.
McCluster, the lone setback. Play action from Mettenberger on 2nd and 1. Rolls out, surveys the defense, and a little short pass is complete. Enough for the first down, but a penalty marker comes in at the end of the play. Kendall Wright on the catch.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Defense, number 56. It's a late hit to the quarterback. 15 yards from the previous spot. First down.
Brian Cushing couldn't help himself. You get that close to the quarterback, you want to unleash, but discipline. Look, leads with the head, takes the shot. I didn't think it was overly aggressive. I might have been, if Mettenberger goes down hard, but wasn't as devastating of a hit as maybe I had thought. And I'm not so sure he made contact with his helmet, but that call is at the discretion of the official. I believe when the quarterback gets out of the pocket, he doesn't have special protection anymore. He's a runner at that point.
It's been a rough season for Brian Cushing. And not a good start for this Houston defense. The much maligned unit. 1st and 10 after the penalty. Here is McCluster inside the 45, close to the 40. Thunder and lightning, as Bill O'Brien called him. Andrews and now McCluster. J.J. Watt, 2 sacks last week. The headliner, 2-time NFL AP Defensive Player of the Year. Justin Tuggle making the start. Started 7 games for this team last year. Hakeem Dent, he is out. And Kevin Johnson making another start as Kareem Jackson still on the shelf for this Houston defense. 2nd and 4 from the Houston 42. Quick snap, little draw play to Andrews inside the 40. And brought down right around the 39-yard line. Everyone waiting to see how this Houston defense would react after a week of practice and looking at that awfully ugly game tape, Solomon, from last week.
Well, it was ugly. I don't think there's any other way to put it. Romeo Crennel has said during the week he'd never been a part of anything like that, giving up over 500 yards total offense to the Dolphins, nearly 250 yards rushing, poor tackling, poor angle pursuits in the secondary. They have to improve today.
3rd and 1 as they try to get off the field. That pass is caught. That's the tight end, Delaney Walker, who has been quite the free agent pickup for them since coming over in 2013 from San Francisco. 6 yards and another Tennessee first down.
And Jonathan Joseph, who normally is a good tackler, I think on the back end at the cornerback position, he missed Delaney Walker, allowing Walker to pick up the first down. We spoke to Delaney Walker. What did he tell us? He said, there's no safety in the National Football League who can cover me. He really does expect to put up big numbers in this offense, helping these young quarterbacks.
He's a confident guy, and as he should be, as he goes over 300 yards receiving for the season. 1st and 10, nice play fake sold. Well, it's deflected and into the hands of not the intended receiver, but it's the rookie Dorial Green Beckham. Not how they drew it up exactly, but they pick up a dozen. It was deflected by Cushing.
It's deflected right here at the line of scrimmage. Look, then it's deflected yet again off of Crick into the hands of Dorial Green Beckham. He's able to haul it in. His defense doing a good job of getting their hands up against Mettenberger because the ball is going to come out quick.
Only the 7th catch for the rookie and 2nd-round pick out of Oklahoma. 1st and 10. This is Andrews getting inside the 20. Cushing coming over on the replay after a minimal gain of a couple.
This is a very young offensive line. They're big, they're fast, and look, they're physical. Getting out in front just to get the ball carrier to the next level of the defense. Andrews is a load. He's a big guy at 225 pounds.
Injured Texan appears to be Jadeveon Clowney as the trainers come on in the field.
We're back in Houston. Watch this block by Delaney Walker on Jadeveon Clowney. Now Clowney gets up in the air, but look, that cut block is what caused the injury to Clowney, who had the limp coming off the field.
Good news is he was able to come off on his own power. We'll try to get you an update on Clowney as quickly as we can. Good stout defensive hold. And if you're a Texan fan, Solomon, anytime you see Clowney go down, you immediately think the worst. The young kid who just has been very unlucky with the injuries early on in his career.
Yeah, he just needs more experience. Now, remember, he goes 266 pounds. He's an athletic 6'5" guy, but when you're that big, you don't have to jump over blockers. You run through them. You use your size to be able to defeat the blocker. I think when you jump up in the air, you lose power.
Critical 3rd and 6 here. Can this Houston defense get off the field? 9th play of the drive for the Titans that began at their own 24. Mettenberger from the gun, slings it near side, incomplete, intended from a cluster. Jonathan Joseph right there on the coverage, a guy who's been doing it for a decade in the NFL.
Yeah, one thing, I think Mettenberger's got to get this ball out a little sooner. And he throws the ball very hard. Many of the receivers we've talked about it, but yeah, McCluster's got to make that catch. But I would have loved to see Mettenberger get him the ball sooner, get it to him earlier, so he can create yards after the catch.
Mettenberger showed some flashes last week, but the 2 interceptions, one coming at the end of each half, really killed this offense as they came up 3 points short against Atlanta. Ryan Suckup, free agent acquisition from Kansas City before last year, on from 35 yards out, and it is good. So the Tennessee drive stalls, but they salvage 3 and get on the board first here in Houston.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Charles Schwab. Own your tomorrow. And by Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Available November 6th.
The Children's Museum of Houston was turned into the Monsters Museum of Houston for the month of October. Yesterday they hosted Moe's Monster Mash Bash, complete with trick-or-treating and fun for the entire family. I was actually going to ask Salmon if he wanted to go trick-or-treating last night, but the rain just wouldn't let up here in Houston.
I know.
I hope everyone had a
You had your costume
Halloween
on and everything. You were way out in front of me.
Next year, Salmon, next year. That one booted through the end zone as Ryan Suckup showing some leg. Brian Hoyer on for his second possession when we come back on CBS. Thursday, your weekend starts with a backyard brawl. The Browns, the Bengals, Thursday Night Football, only on NFL Network. Can Cleveland be the team that finally puts a dent in Cincinnati's perfect record as the Bengals enter the week as one of 5 remaining undefeated teams in the NFL? There's Bill O'Brien, second-year head coach. Inherited a 2-14 team. All kinds of issues and questions being asked this week after that dismal performance last Sunday in Miami. 1st and 10. Simon, we just mentioned that Houston now remains the only team in the league that has not scored a point on their opening drive this season. The easy question is about the quarterback. What have you seen? Why have they struggled?
Well, clearly they have some problems. As you take a look at the offense coordinator, George Godsey, they're one of the few teams that don't script their first 10 to 15 offensive plays. We talked to Brian Hoyer about it. He said we rehearse openers, but there's no sequential order to those plays. I just think they need greater familiarity with what they're going to do at the beginning of games.
Hoyer has a beat, throws and completes to Blue out of the backfield. Well, if you're a Texans fan, you hope now with the question now with Mallett being sent away and TJ Yates trying to play catch up that that leash is a little bit longer. But Hoyer's been through it all. He's ready to go whatever happens.
Oh, well, I just think getting back to the point of practicing those first few plays, it gets them off to a greater rhythm. All 11 guys in the huddle knows what to expect, and I think it gives them a greater deal of execution and familiarity with those plays.
Can they move the chains here on a 3rd and 3? Hoyer puts an air under it, and it's incomplete. Trying to find Jonathan Grimes, the 3rd-year running back, out of the backfield. Avery Williamson, who was Tennessee's best rookie defender a year ago, on the coverage, and that wasn't even close.
Well, they go 3 and out for the 2nd consecutive possession. This is much like what we saw in Miami 1 week ago. The defense stayed on the field, couldn't get off the field, couldn't get stops. The offense couldn't sustain anything. They didn't come away with a first down until we got into the 3rd quarter. So I think when you can script those early plays, I think it really helps your offense.
Bill O'Brien giving up offensive play calling duties to Godsey, who Solomon just mentioned, as McCluster takes a hard smack at the 20 after a 57-yard punt from the All-Pro punter Shane Leckler.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the awarded Rewarding Jeep Grand Cherokee. And by CenturyLink, your link to what's next.
Well, Texans rookies Kevin Johnson, Christian Covington, Greg Mance, and Corey Moore transformed into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on Monday night for the Toros Kids Club Cookies and Rookies Halloween event here in Houston. Over 150 children participated in activities. This is such a thrill for some of those young Houstonians as they root on their team here trying to get their third win of the season. Zach Mettenberger onto the field, 1st and 10. This is Andrews. Oh, we talked about this Houston defense, 500 yards that they gave up, Solomon, 41 first half points. Bill O'Brien said they went back to the drawing board as they look for answers.
Yeah, poor tackling leads to giving up 4 plays of 50 yards or more that end up in the end zone, and you give up over, close to 250 yards rushing. Romeo Cornell, they had to get back to tackling, talking about pursuit angles and getting all 11 defenders to the ball. Tackling in the National Football League, it's a lot of technique and fundamentals, but more than anything, it's about wanting to get the other man on the ground.
2nd and 8. Andrews trying to break free, getting close to the 30. We go to New York, JB and Tony.
Spiro, a little trickeration. Yes, indeed, right here. You're going to see the fake to Mark Ingram. He throws it back to Drew Brees, over the top to Willie Snead for the touchdown. Trickeration getting it done out there against the Giants. Tied up 7-7. Back to Spiro and Solomon.
Yep. Tony knows about that play-action pass, standing alone in the end zone, wide open. Defensive backs got their eyes in the backfield and don't see the coverage down the field.
Meantime, Jadeveon Clowney has gone down for the 2nd time in the last couple of minutes here. Was able to walk off after the first injury. It was Craig Stevens, the man in front of Clowney on the block.
Now I'm going to tell you something. When you get cut on consecutive plays, as we saw from one tight end, Delaney Walker, Stevens is able to cut him. Now, that's something that they're game planning. They're saying, here's a guy that plays a little too high. He doesn't protect his legs. We can get him on the ground by cut blocking him. And that's where Clowney's just got to improve. Got to use your hands, and you've got to defeat the blocker in front of you before you can go make a tackle.
Clowney missed a game a couple of weeks ago with an ankle injury. Gingerly walks to the sideline. 3rd and 2. They needed the 30. Didn't get it. And look at the reaction from the Houston defenders. Huge hold as they're able to get off the field.
Well, they're fired up. Take a look at J.J. Watt. He gets off the ball, just jumps right inside of Jeremiah Patasi, and that's what J.J. Watt will do. He knows how to get inside, but make a play for that defense. They needed that kind of defensive stand to force the punt here and get off the field to get the ball back for the offense.
Brett Karn, their 8th-year punter out of Toledo, on to boot it away from around his own 20. Mumphrey back deep. Back pedal is, and will play it from inside the 15. Dances across the 20 and tackled at the 23. Excellent 59-yard punt from Karn as J.J. Watt, who has had some massive games against Tennessee, celebrates the sideline. Tomorrow on CBS, see why Supergirl is TV's #1 news show. Critics call it fantastically super and just plain fun. Don't miss a new episode tomorrow, 8/7 Central, only CBS. Jadeveon Clowney escorted into the Houston locker room. It is a back injury. His return, we're told, is questionable. Brian Hoyer from the gun on 1st and 10. Quick strike near side of the field. It is caught. DeAndre Hopkins, penalty marker comes in right after the catch. 13 yards and a first down if it stands. Last week, fewest yards for Hopkins in a game this season, just 6 catches and 50 yards in that loss.
Prior to the pass, holding defense number 24. That penalty's declined. Yardage is enough for a first down.
That's Cody Sensabaugh, the culprit, making the start today for the injured Parrish Cox.
Yeah, he's going up against DeAndre Hopkins. They both attended school at Clemson. There you can see at the top of the route. Yeah, you got to get your hands off of him. Cody Sensabaugh was looking back inside, but got to keep your hands off the receiver.
Chris Polk trying to find the edge, brought down. Well, this Tennessee defense, Solomon, one of the best kept secrets in the NFL. Your old teammate in Cincinnati, Ray Horton, the defensive coordinator. Dick LeBeau, what a job they've done.
Yeah, they've done a great job. Everywhere Dick LeBeau goes, his defense is going to give you exotic blitzes on 3rd down. They first have to stop the run on 1st and 2nd down.
You see Hoyer trying to speed things up under center on 2nd and 7. This is Polk again. Crosses the 40 as he tries to get to the 41. Incredible season for this Tennessee defense.
Yeah, second best in the NFL in terms of defending the pass. And look, they don't give you a lot of first downs where they've given up the second fewest in the NFL. When you talk about pitching 3 and out, Ray Horton, the defensive coordinator, along with Dick LeBeau, is good as any in the game at getting offenses off the field on third down. He's trying to identify the blitzers.
Here comes Sensible off the edge. Quick pass is caught. That's Washington. Needed the 46, and the officials say first down.
They were able to pick it up. Zach Brown, he was able to make the tackle. The real key is they didn't force him into third and long. So Hoyer can dump it off to Nate Washington and still pick up the first down. In order for this defense really to work at its best, they've got to force Hoyer and the Texans offense into third and long.
First and 10 from the 47. Hoyer, quick drop. Under pressure. Throws off his back foot, and it is incomplete. So the defender, Bleedy Ray Wilson, coming down with it, but was out of bounds. It'll be second and 10. Nate Washington making that first down catch a moment ago. The former Titan, 6-season Solomon in Tennessee. Never missed a game during that time, a former captain for him.
No, he came in last week and I think gave him some quality moments. And I know it wasn't at a time where it was really meaningful, but I think it did help him to get in better rhythm with his quarterback, Brian Hoyer.
Second and 10. This is Polk, former Philadelphia Eagle. And speaking of Washington, they desperately need someone to give DeAndre Hopkins Solomon some support as teams now double and give him more attention.
Yeah, within this offense, they would like to also get more productivity out of their 2 tight ends, Graham and Fedorowicz. Both dropped balls last week. One ended up being an interception. We know Hopkins going to put up big numbers, but you're right. With Cecil Shorts out, I think it falls on Nate Washington to yield greater production.
This is where Hopkins has been so good. Leads the league with 17 catches on third down. Hoyer looking in the other direction, intended for Washington, incomplete. And it will be 4th down and 5.
Here, we talked about the 9 drops 1 week ago. Here's yet another one. Good throw here from Hoyer. Nate Washington's got to haul that in. He had separated from coverage. Ball hit him right in the hands. He still put it on the ground. Working one-on-one against Cody Riggs. He's got to be able to make that catch.
Well, if there's a quarterback that's due for some good luck, it's Brian Hoyer. 11-9 as a starter. Lost his job in his hometown of Cleveland to Johnny Manziel last season, and the drops continue.
And he don't have any other options because they're going to double cover DeAndre Hopkins. Washington's got to make those plays.
Leckler has had a good start as that one is going to be down inside the 5-yard line. How about Charles James sprinting down the field, catches the punt. Incredible hang time from Leckler, one of the all-time great punters of his generation. Week 8 continues later today on Fox. Then tonight, Sunday Night Football on NBC. Tomorrow, Monday Night Football and a good one, Indianapolis and Carolina. J.J. Watt, couple of sacks last week. Tackle for a loss on Tennessee's last possession. Some history between he and Zach Mettenberger, who made his first career start against this Texans team last season in Week 8. Mettenberger and this offense pinned deep on their side of the field on 1st and 10. Keep it on the ground. This is Andrews. So that first start came against Houston. Before that game and the week leading up to it, he caught some flack from Watt for posting some selfies of himself. And Watt returned the favor during that game as he had his way with Mettenberger.
Yeah, he was able to get to the quarterback. Both exchanged some barbs. And I think Mettenberger understands you don't poke the bear. You know, and then J.J. Watt came out and said, hey, a lion doesn't concern himself with the opinion of a sheep. I just kind of thought that was quite humorous. We talked to Zach Mettenberger about it. He said, I got to play this guy twice a year. Probably should have picked my words better.
He's learned some things over the last year. 2nd and 10.
Uh-oh. Somebody's woke up this defense for the Houston Texans. It all started with the play on the previous possession by J.J. Watt. And now you can see Whitney Merciless, 59. Look at him getting great penetration. That's how you take on the block. That's how you get into the backfield. This is something we did not see this intensity from this Texans defense 1 week ago. You want to shut down the run, Whitney Merciless just showed you.
Tennessee has struggled on 3rd and shorts, ironically. One of the best teams in 3rd and long situations, as you see, 4th best in the NFL. 3rd and a dozen. Quick strike. Andrews desperately trying to get out of the end zone as they avert disaster. Titans will be forced to punt. Curtis Drummond, who was signed to their active roster on Tuesday, playing his first NFL game on the tackle.
And watch 35, Eddie Pleasant. He's in for Raheem Moore. Look at this. You get that tackle in the secondary, this place will erupt. But still, look how they swarm to the ball. That's what Romeo Crennel wants. All 11 defenders. He said we shouldn't leave it up to one guy to make the tackle and get the ball carrier on the ground. They showed an excellent, I think, example of how to swarm and get all 11 defenders to the ball.
Eddie Pleasant, the safety, getting some extra chances today. We mentioned Raheem Moore, their starting free safety, out due to injury. Here is Mumphrey. Crosses the 40, 45, and ahead to the 46-yard line. 59-yard punt from Kern, and a hard-fought return of 11 yards. So Hoyer struggling, but again, Zaman not getting much help from his teammates.
4 of 9 to begin the game, and when he's put it on the money, look, sometimes it's been tipped at the line of scrimmage. Other times, receivers aren't able to get their hand on it, and then when they do get their hands on it, sometimes they've even dropped a few. But he's going to be hit, hurried, and harassed all day. That one nearly intercepted, but he's got to hang in there early on. His receivers got to be able to get open and make plays.
I should correct myself. Raheem Moore, a healthy scratch today for the Texans. 1st and 10. Hoyer under pressure, heavy pressure, as Daquan Jones leading the pack coming from the blind side. Hoyer sensed it. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Jarrell Casey leads this defensive front, number 99. I mean, he can get there as well as some of the other big guys. Daquan Jones, as Spiro mentioned, meeting in the backfield, getting to the quarterback. They've got some real heavy lifters on this front in the 3-4 defense. Dick LeBeau and Ray Horton. I think they're just growing into a really good group.
2nd and 10. Hoyer dealing near side. That's Polk. Now, this Tennessee defense, as the seconds come off, held Atlanta last week, Solomon, a team that was number 3 in the league entering the day in scoring to just 10 points.
Yeah, they got after Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. Dick LeBeau turned them loose. You know, they were able to keep that offense for the Falcons under 400 yards on the day and really got after them. Created 2 interceptions off Matt Ryan.
More of the same today. We reach the end of the first. Back to Houston. You're watching the NFL on CBS. This is how wild the state of affairs are in the NFL. Houston and Tennessee, just 3 total wins between them. Both of them still very much alive in the AFC South. Start of the 2nd quarter, 3rd and 6. Hoyer puts some air under it and completes for the first down to Nate Washington, the longtime Tennessee Titan, and finally they're able to move the chains.
Really good throw there from Brian Hoyer because he's able to get this ball, look, right here, outside. Watch him get it over the defender, right in the box. Washington hauls it in.
Houston did not get their first down last week until they were down 35-0. This is the tight end, C.J. Fedorowicz. Another first down play, and he owes Hoyer a couple of good plays today after that drop that led to the pick 6 last week.
Yes, he does. But you saw how he possessed both arms around that ball. That was good play action movement. Getting the tight end out in the flat, he was wide open, and Hoyer took the easy throw.
14-yard pass play to set up a 1st and 10 just outside the 20. Hoyer has time, throwing end zone. It is caught. Hopkins for the touchdown. Right over the top of Jason McCourty as Hopkins, the budding superstar, snatches it out of the air for 6.
Well, take a look at it and see if the feet stay in bounds. But look, great play, great catch. This is just man-to-man coverage, and they recognize it right away. Now watch, they'll get vertical, but then here's the throw to the outside, what we call a 50-50 ball. 50% chance that your receiver can get it, 50% chance it can be intercepted. But you have to at least trust Hopkins that he's going to come down with the ball in that situation. He's paid to do it, and boy, does he come through for his quarterback and his football team.
Hopkins at the top of the NFL in receiving yards. His streak of 3 straight games of at least 145 yards receiving ending last week. But back in the good graces of his offensive coordinator. Long touchdown pass from Hoyer. Texans in front. Well, Hopkins, after a little blip in what's been a historic start to his season. 21-yard touchdown catch, leaping through the air. And we know Brian Hoyer is going to have to sling it today with this Houston team struggling in the run game all season.
Yeah, they have the worst rush average in the National Football League. Hoyer may have to throw it 50 or more times today if they're going to win it. He's got to put points on the board.
No team has passed it more than the Houston Texans this season. This is Bishop. Sankey football comes loose, still loose, and Houston has recovered the football. Sankey, who lost his job before that game last week, puts it on the ground. Devastating play as we have an injured Texan on the field.
That ball was on the ground for quite some time. Pleasant comes out of the power with it. We have someone down on the field. That ball was rolling around for quite some time.
Trying to get a look as to who the injured Texan is.
Looked like it might be Drummond, number 40.
And it is Drummond. Solomon, you're right. As you see Pleasant able to fall on the football for Houston. And you see a dejected Bishop Sankey walking off the field here in Houston.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by McDonald's, teaming up with the NFL like never before. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Toyota, let's go places.
The injured Texan, Curtis Drummond, the rookie out of Michigan State, making his NFL debut today. Just signed to the active roster on Tuesday. Looks like he may have taken a knee to the head as Sankey fumbles the football on the kick. And now a short field for Brian Hoyer. Penalty marker thrown.
Offense, number 60. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
That's Ben Jones, the center, as we go back to the injury.
Yeah, Curtis Drummond's going to catch it. There he is right there. Catch it right in the back of the head as he's falling out. See right there? Bishop Sankey comes through there, and I think the knee of Sankey caught Drummond right to the back of the head.
54.
First and 15 after the penalty. Long setback is Alfred Blue. Here he is, dances inside the 30. As we go to New York, get an update with JB and Tony.
A bullet from Rivers. Yes, Phillip Rivers on fire this year. You're going to see throw it up to Malcolm Floyd, 6'5". He goes up, gets the ball, scores a touchdown. Phillip Rivers 11-12, 106 yards, 1 touchdown. San Diego 10-6 over Baltimore. Spiro and Solomon.
That Ravens secondary continues to struggle.
Defense that is a far cry from what we got used to from that franchise for the last decade. 2nd and 14. Some movement pre-snap. Hard snap count from Hoyer. Daquan Jones, the man who came across prematurely.
I think Bill O'Brien doesn't know that Daquan Jones liked to go with the hard count.
Encroachment. Defense, number 90. It's a 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Daquan Jones in his 2nd year out of Penn State, where Bill O'Brien coached him there with the Nittany Lions. So I'm sure he told his quarterback, yeah, he'll jump. He's eager to get up the field. That's where knowledge tends to help you when you once coached a player.
First penalty on Tennessee. Jones, a full-time starter for the first time in his budding NFL career. This is Jonathan Grimes out of the backfield. Quick drop back and pass. And now we'll see what they elect to do, Solomon, on 3rd down.
Yeah, if you got Grimes or Polk in the game, I think it's a good indicator they planned on throwing the football. Something we're going to see a lot today. Blue is the guy that, you know, he's going to run it. And Blue is still, I think, working on his receiving skills out of the backfield, but Grimes and Polk are better suited as that third down back coming out of the backfield right now. Polk is in the backfield.
Grimes, the lone setback, flanking Hoyer on 3rd and 10.
They're going to throw it. They're trying to identify the blitzers.
Hoyer completes, far side of the field. That's the rookie Keith Mumphrey. Well short of the first down. They needed the 14, as Hoyer has completed 6 straight. And a quick decision here as Bill O'Brien will send out his field goal unit.
Yeah, I think you got to come away with points. They did a good job on 3rd down. Hoyer identified the blitzers. They were able to pick it up. He got the completion, was able to get closer, even though they weren't able to get the first down. But you've got to turn that turnover after the fumble by Bishop Sankey, be able to knock it through the uprights and put 10 points on the board.
38-yard attempt from Nick Novak. As the Texans will build on their lead. Now at a touchdown. Early stages in the second. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Tonight, the discovery of the remains of a long-lost ship and the story about the slave trade it reveals on 60 Minutes. Tonight, only CBS. Spiro Ditas, Salman Wilcots, our producer Ryan Galvin, Andy Goldberg, our director, rest of our great CBS crew here from NRG Stadium in Houston. The Texans team that was routed in Miami last Sunday, but despite that, a team that could very well end Week 8 tomorrow night, even with Indianapolis Salmon atop the division. Colts will play as Sankey fumbles it again and is going to play it from about a yard deep in his own end zone. Fumbled the last kick, and boy, you wonder where he is psychologically at this point. Lost his job a week ago to Antonio Andrews, and now all kinds of issues in the kick game.
But he still has a role on this football team. He's got to be able to field this kick, keep his eyes on it, possess the ball now, get going. Make something happen for your football team. And right now, early on, he's come out very lethargic, lacking the intensity needed. What did his coach, Ken Whisenhunt, tell us? He said many of the young players coming out of college today, they just don't understand the intensity required to play at this level. And that's something that they're really dealing with a lot of young players on this Titans football team.
Second straight possession for Tennessee where they have had to start deep on their own side, and this Houston defense licking its chops.
Well, they're getting going. Romeo Cornell let them know about it. J.J. Watt, obviously, he's the straw that stirs the drink, getting penetration on the run game, getting after the quarterback. Whitney Merciless, look at him getting penetration to snuff out the Titans' run game, and there you can see that last play. They're setting the edge, not allowing Andrews to get around the corner. Romeo Cornell's got his defense playing at a much greater level in terms of intensity and pursuit angles and overall tackling.
Walker in motion. McCluster, the lone setback, able to dance around Watt. Here's McCluster, dangerous in the flat. The leading rusher through the first 7 weeks. Forced out of bounds by the rookie corner, Kevin Johnson. As McCluster picks up a half dozen, it'll be 3rd down.
Oh, you see J.J. Watt just knife in underneath. You know, when we talked to him last week, he says he credits the other 10 defenders for allowing him to be a little creative on that defensive line. He jumps around blocks, looking to get penetration, forcing the ball to bounce as he did on that play. Now on 3rd down, let's see if Zach Mettenberger can make a play to keep his offense on the field.
What a difference a week makes. 41 points that they allowed in that nightmare first half last Sunday in Miami. 3rd and 5. Mettenberger's going to take a shot over the middle, incomplete. Through the hands of Justin Hunter, the 3rd-year receiver, and Jonathan Joseph with him step for step.
Young receivers for this football team. I think this is a good rocket throw from Mettenberger. Now look, Hunter's got to get himself in between the ball and the defender and still be able to make this catch. This is a good NFL throw by a quarterback who's young and needing someone to help him out. Right there, Justin Hunter didn't help out Zach Mettenberger by making the catch.
4th start of the season for Hunter, 2nd straight with the injury to Harry Douglas, who's still on the shelf. Good looking punt, fielded by Mumphrey inside the 30. Mumphrey goes across the field, And is tricked by that Tennessee punt team. 8 yards on the return and a 60-yard punt as Leckler continues to do it for the Texans.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Dish, the Dish 2-year price lock. Go to Dish.com to learn more. And by Bud Light. Make the right call. Drink responsibly.
Some great Super Bowl memories here in Houston. Super Bowl 8, Minnesota and Miami. Larry Zonka, the game's MVP, and then Super Bowl 38 here in Houston. It'll be coming back next year. And there's, of course, Super Bowl 50 coming up in February in the Bay Area. 1st and 10 after the 60-yard punt from Brett Kern. Got my punters confused there for a second. We've got 2 pretty good ones in this game, but so far so good for Bill O'Brien after that disastrous performance last week. Salmon up 7.
Yeah, the defense is playing better. There's no doubt about it. I think they're getting all 11 defenders to the ball. They're able to get off the field and get the ball back for the offense. This Texans offense has scored on each of their last 2 possessions, a touchdown and a field goal, and now let's see if they can keep it going.
See the 4 possessions for Houston. On 2nd and 10, this is Blue. Confident young man. Told you about the last stat line he had last time he was their primary runner. Week 3 against Tampa, rushed for nearly 140 yards. This kid can play.
Yeah, Alfred Blue, I think, is a really good player. He's going to get the opportunity to be the starting running back for the remainder of the season with Arian Foster out. The area he talks about needing to improve is pass catching and obviously pass protection. But now they'll bring in other running backs, Grimes or Polk, when they really want to throw the ball down the field.
Humphrey in motion. Hoyer on 3rd and 4, and an excellent defensive play by Sensabaugh. There is a marker that comes in right in the vicinity.
They're going to say that Sensabaugh may have interfered with the receiver. I'm not so sure. He cut under it nicely. Maybe he held the receiver as the receiver was coming out of his break. It's going to be interesting because they're having a conference as to maybe whether or not they're going to pick up the flag.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense number 24, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Yeah, they're going to get him for holding. He's going to be matched up. There you see one-on-one right there. Now let's watch him because he can have his hands on it within 5 yards. And right now he can. Now you got to let him go. See, there was a little tug there just as Nate Washington looked to get separation. Good call by the official.
Tough penalty for the Titans to take. After a nice recovery on the play from Sensabaugh, but aided by the illegal play. Here is Blue. Crosses the 50. We had a chance to visit with Blue as a late marker comes in behind the play. Here's Clete Blakeman.
Holding, offense number 60, 10-yard penalty, replay first down.
Blue told us how instrumental Arian Foster has been in his development, all the things he's learned from him, being patient as a runner.
Yeah.
And now he'll have to apply those teachings as they move forward without Foster.
Over the last few years, Arian Foster no doubt been, I think, the most patient runner in the NFL. Maybe one of the younger guys is a Le'Veon Bell, who you see running with great patience. And if Alfred Blue can learn anything from Arian Foster, he's going to be one heck of a running back.
33, slice! 33, charge, go!
On 1st and 20, this is a draw play. Here's Blue. And now it is a flag fest. 3 straight plays with markers on the field. Bleedy Ray Wilson
holding
on the tackle.
Offense number 79, 10-yard penalty, replay first down.
It's Brandon Brooks coming back from the toe injury from a week ago. And right now, Houston going backwards. It's going to be 1st and 30 coming up.
Well, you're going to see he's pulling right here. Now take a look. So he gets caught up right there, and then watch him go out and just grab, right? Wrapped his arms around Zach Brown, and he was caught by a couple of officials. We saw 2 flags on the ground for 1 penalty.
Those penalties just on Houston, 4 total and 3 against their offense. 1st and 30, just trying to pick up some kind of positive yardage. They need the 45-yard line for the first down as they pick up 6 through the air. It's Alfred Blue. Hoyer, by the way, has completed 8 straight passes after starting 4 of 10.
Yeah, we talked about him getting off to a good start. You know, he was 4-10 at the beginning, but now I think George Godsey, the offense coordinator, has gotten Hoyer in much greater rhythm. He can tell if he's looking at a man or a zone. He's setting his protection. He has time, but he's got to give Hopkins, I think, a chance to make a play against one-on-one coverage.
Hoyer on 2nd and 24, finds Blue again. It's the kind of versatility that has excited this staff and what kind of player he can become. The former 6th-round pick was a surprising contributor for them out of LSU last year.
Remember, when Arian Foster has been in the game, the offense, at least in the passing game, had gone through DeAndre Hopkins, the wide receiver, and then the check down man, which was Arian Foster. Now with him out, a lot of those players are going to go to Alfred Blue or Jonathan Grimes or Chris Polk, but those running backs got to be able to catch it coming out of the backfield.
You see the 9 straight completions from Hoyer. 3rd and 15, needs a big play here. Goes underneath to Grimes inside Tennessee territory, but about 4 yards short of the first down marker. They pick up a dozen, but Shane Leckler back onto the field to punt.
10 straight completions for Hoyer, but you can see the majority of them going to the running back, whether it's Blue, whether it's Grimes or Polk, coming out of the backfield, and still not enough to move the chains. I would argue that maybe it would have been if not for the multitude of penalties on that possession.
Leckler has had a couple of beauties already. McCluster signaling fair catch. And this one, let's see where they mark it. It will be a touchback, so it takes a Titans bounce into the end zone. And Mettenberger will start from the 20. 48-yard punt, but not the placement that Leckler was looking for. Oh, with NFL Mobile, watch local and primetime NFL games live on your smartphone. You can learn more at NFL.com/mobile. Now, we mentioned how the Texans amazingly are right there in the division with the Colts. Titans are still alive as well, as you see some of the statistical comparisons. 1 win through the first 7 weeks, yet they're just 1 game out in the loss column. Hard to believe. Mettenberger hit on the release, completes anyway. What a job by Mettenberger, staying in, knowing the hit is coming. Finds McCluster for 9.
J.J. Watt delivered the goods on Mettenberger. Coming off the top of the screen, just plows right through. Beating the right tackle, Jeremiah Putasi. But still, Mettenberger hung in there. He's a big guy, able to complete that pass to Dexter McCluster. Mettenberger goes 6'5", 225. He's lost weight since his rookie season. He's in much better shape. And I think he's improved since his first year in Tennessee.
Mettenberger under duress, set. Penalty marker comes in behind the play. Could be a hands to the face mask. We'll see what the call is here. If it is, that one's going to hurt for Houston.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Defense number 59. Over the head.
Whitney Merciless, like, look, you know I wasn't trying to run. He's just trying to grab him. Remember, he's being blocked, and he was reaching and grabbing and inadvertently grabbed the face mask there. See right there, he grabbed the face right there as he was coming off the block. Now, he's got to be more cognizant of what the rules are, but he was going to bat down the ball, but then you can see that hand came right in the face of the quarterback, and he's got to understand the rules of what he can and cannot do to avoid hurting his football team.
Marcellus had a multi-sack game a couple of weeks ago. Those are the ones that hurt, where the play has been blown up by your defense and that penalty marker comes in. 1st and 10, giving this Tennessee offense some new life. End around play. This is Kendall Wright. Crosses inside Houston territory. Nifty little end around play for 7. Had that 19-yard touchdown catch last week. Nice play by Wright.
Yeah, right now, I think the Tennessee Titans got to get something going on offense. We know this defense, they do a good job of keeping the score down. Now, Ken Wisenhunt, he needs his quarterback to be able to make plays, but more importantly, you know, these wide receivers, Kendall Wright, Dorial Green Beckham, Justin Hunter, they've got to begin to make plays. I'm trying to get the ball to the tight end, Delaney Walker.
They've scored 13 or fewer points in 3 straight games. Mettenberger's going to take a shot. No receiver even in the vicinity. So I'll go out on a limb and say there was a miscommunication there between he and his receiver.
Yeah, he broke off the route, or it looked like Kendall Wright fell down. He's going to be right here. I like Delaney Walker coming across the field there. That's probably where I would have gone with the ball. But there you can see, look, he's going to come open. But there you see, he just overthrew it, took the shot. Receiver and quarterback was not on the same page.
Well, it's not easy to be the #2 quarterback. You don't get a lot of snaps in preseason and camp. Mettenberger's start last week, the first live game reps for him since the preseason, still getting comfortable with his receivers. Flags whistle, the play dead.
Delay game.
Lots of penalties here.
Prior to the play clock expiring, we have a timeout by Tennessee. It's their first time out of the half.
All right, so they will pick up the flag, and they'll take their first time out. 3rd and 3. Tennessee able to get the timeout before that delay of game. So critical play here for both clubs. This Titans offense trying to get something going. Mettenberger somehow able to get rid of the football just as Watt was wrapping him up. And J.J. Watt doing what he does, wreaking havoc.
He is just coming. Here you see him coming off the left side of the screen, getting around Jeremiah Patasi. They tried the double teaming with help from the guard Chance Warmack. Look at it. He comes over. It's still too late. The speed and quickness of J.J. Watt off the ball. You come here to Houston, you watch him practice, he's at that same speed. Game time is easy time for Watt because he does it every day.
And there was some minor concern, had a little bit of a back injury, some tightness caused him to miss some practice time this week. Was sick a couple of weeks ago. Still not full strength last week, but today looking like the old J.J. Watt. And Salmon, there's something about the Titans. More career sacks, 12 against Tennessee than any other team for him in the NFL.
Well, I think just about every team he's played against got those kind of numbers, but when you play against a team more frequently, it's going to be an even higher total. He is a handful to deal with. It's a young group of offensive linemen for the Tennessee Titans and have to deal with J.J. Watt. They're still learning. Patasi's a rookie. Warmack's in his 3rd year. Bell and Luan on the other side, they're 4th and 2nd year players.
Taking advantage of some of those youngsters. Meantime, 10 straight completions for Brian Hoyer. What have you seen from him?
Well, Hoyer is just, I think right now he's doing a good job. He settled in after those first 10 pass attempts, and now he starting to get some completions, taking a shot down the field to DeAndre Hopkins when he sees single man-to-man coverage. I think just doing a good job of identifying, is it zone blitz or is it man coverage, and then completing passes.
Handoff fumbled for a moment. Good recovery by Polk as he is able to get to the line of scrimmage.
Well, you talk about getting your quarterback into rhythm. Nothing like either touchdown or check down. Check it down to the running back. If you have nothing down the field, whether it's Alfred Blue, whether it's Polk, whether it's Grimes, this is how you keep the offense moving in sync. What we call staying ahead of the chains. I think this is what you have to be able to do. Look, 7 targets to running backs, 5 completions, checking it down.
Hoyer's going to burn a timeout. Play clock was down to 2. And you could just sense Hoyer getting a little bit more comfortable. It'll be nice to see what Hoyer can do with an established running game, something that he hasn't really had in his couple of years as a starter. You think back to his time in Cleveland. And so you just hope now, if you're a Texans fan, that he can start to exhale, put last week behind him, and build some confidence.
And that's the key. You know, here's a guy that's been in the league 7 years, but really he hadn't had a chance to play a whole lot prior to last year in Cleveland. And so now that he's, I think been able to have more experience at the quarterback position, you can tell he can manage the offense. He can read defense and set protections. And now the players around him have to play better. But certainly the run game here in Houston has to improve for Hoyer to play at a high level.
Right here, Linda. 39 Linda.
You see him pointing at 39. That's Damian Stafford, Tennessee's safety. Hoyer going backwards. That Tennessee defensive front so deadly this season. Getting to Hoyer. Carl Klug dumps him for a loss of 8.
Talk about setting protections. He tried to set it, but the offensive line, they weren't ready. There's Klug and a host of defenders. Dick LeBeau dialed up the blitz perfectly.
This is the 30-second timeout.
And Hoyer very familiar not only with Dick LeBeau, spent 3 weeks in Pittsburgh after his stop in New England, and also very familiar with Ray Horton in Cleveland.
Yeah, there's Klug. Look at him coming underneath. And they were trying to swap off, trying to trade off, and Klug was able to split the double team, still get to the quarterback.
We sat with Hoyer yesterday talking about Dick LeBeau and said that on his way out of Pittsburgh, LeBeau pulled him aside and said, if you need anything the rest of your career, you pick up the phone and call me. And Hoyer said it was something he really appreciated. You know LeBeau as well as anyone, Solomon, one of the legendary icons in this sport. This is McCluster's going to play it from about his own 35. Guys, you see him off the sideline. McCluster showing the wheels. Somehow stays in bounds. And look at him stare down Leckler at the end of that play. 60-yard punt and a 37-yard run back from Dexter McCluster. Dangerous in the run game and a short field from Mettenberger when we come back. Dexter McCluster, their leading rusher, third leading receiver, and a moment ago showing his ability in the return game. 37 yards on the punt return, and by far the best starting field position for Tennessee today. Mettenberger on 1st and 10, sacked again. Merciless coming around the edge, and this time no flags.
He comes right around the left end against Taylor Lewan right there. And look at that, he swapped down the hand, still able to swim over the top to get to Mettenberger. Now they've got to do a better job of protecting Mettenberger in this situation. They should be able to come away with points. Of course, Romeo Cornell trying to turn him back. Critical moments last week at the end of the first half, Mettenberger threw a costly interception where they could have had points on the board.
Third sack of the season for Merciless. 2nd and 16. This is right. Trying to get to the 30. They need the 18 for the first down, so they'll be well short and faced with a 3rd and long here. Kevin Johnson, the rookie corner, former first-round pick, has had a nice bounce back after he struggled last week. Penalty markers again at the end of the play. Our referee today, if you've just joined us, is Cleet Blakeman, talking it over with his mates as Ken Wisenhunt looks on. First road game that Tennessee is playing since week 2 in Cleveland. 42 days, hard to believe. Quirk in the schedule, 4 straight home games sandwiched around a bye week. And an awfully long conference from the officials.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, offense, number 76. It's a 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. The down counts, brings up 3rd down.
That's Byron Bell, that hurts.
First we want to show you the defense because there's going to be a screenplay here. But look at the pursuit. Look at the speed of the defenders for the Houston Texans. We didn't see this 1 week ago. Ball comes out. Look how many blue jerseys get around and to the ball to get right out of bounds. Just great play. Now Bell, 76 right there. Yep. Just took away more yards. They started this drive at the 28-yard line. Now they're almost back to the 50.
Just such a selfish play from a guy like Byron Bell. Free agent acquisition coming over from Carolina, last 4 years with the Panthers. 3rd and 29 from the 47. Titans with 1 timeout. That pass was batted down at the line of scrimmage. Ryan Cushing got a hand on it, and they'll punt.
Yep, Cushing's able to get into the passing lane. We know that Mettenberger wants to get rid of the ball quick, fast, and in a hurry, and then watch Cushing hunt up that passing lane. He did a really good job just reading the eyes of the quarterback, swimming over the top to get into that throwing lane.
Now, Brian Cushing, like so many guys on this defense, had his pride hurt after a performance last Sunday. When you think back 4 years ago, considered one of the top young rising defensive stars in the league. A couple of devastating knee injuries. He's bounced back at least over the first half of this game. 36-yard punt as Brian Hoyer comes back onto the field. 2 timeouts left for Houston and 42 seconds remaining. Coming up, the Verizon halftime report. JB, Tony, Bart Boomer, and Coach Cower standing by in our New York studios to get you caught up around the league, plus a preview of Thursday Night Football coming up on NFL Network on the Verizon halftime report. 10-3 Texans. Salmon, you take some chances here, or do you wave the white flag and go inside?
I think you take a chance, you throw the ball, and of course you don't gamble. Have to understand risk reward when taking that chance.
Hoyer set. Well, maybe you wave the white flag now as Brian Orakpo, who has been a free agent stud coming over from the Redskins, coming around the corner.
Hey, he said he loves playing here. You're going to see him coming around here. Loves playing in this defense, taught by Ray Horton and Dick LeBeau. Loves the versatility and the ability to do that as he's able to get around Dwayne Brown, the left tackle for the Texans. Brown's been struggling a little bit. He's a perennial Pro Bowler, and you can see Brian Orakpo has trained himself differently. Had suffered those pectoral tears and 3 separate injuries. He talked about how he had to train his body differently during the offseason. He's more flexible. He's much faster off the ball, and you saw it right there. He's one of the impact players on this defense.
One other thing about Orakpo, he may have the deepest baritone of any professional athlete I've ever seen. He's got a voice, Simon, that will make Barry White jealous, I think.
He's got some Morgan Freeman in him, right?
What a season he's had. Best shape of his life, and it shows as the Tennessee Titans will walk off the field with Orakpo down 7. Good bounce back, at least 2 quarters in for Bill O'Brien and the Texans. Up 7 as the final seconds come off the clock here at NRG Stadium in Houston. Brian Hoyer completing over 10 passes at one point, finishes the half 14 of 20 for a $121 and a touchdown. That's the end of the first half in Houston. 10-3 Texans. We'll be back with the Verizon halftime report after this word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Just about ready for the start of the second half in this AFC South battle. 10-3, the Texans in front as both teams making their way onto the field. Right now, let's take a look at who you are loving, presented by McDonald's. Brian Hoyer started to get comfortable after that shaky start. What a play by DeAndre Hopkins, snatching it out of the air for the 21-yard touchdown catch. As we take one more look, Hopkins climbing the ladder in the back of the end zone, lone touchdown for us in that first half. Spiro Dita, Salmon Wilcots back with you. NFL on CBS continues. Adjustments now for Tennessee team. Salmon trying to end this long losing streak.
Well, I think starting first with the Houston Texans, I think what they need to do is continue to give DeAndre Hopkins more opportunities like what you saw right there. And then I think if you are the Tennessee Titans, you got to start to run the ball more. You've got to, I think, pound the run game. Only 41 rushing yards in the first half of the game. Andrews, who started, he's averaging 2 yards per carry. So if you want to take the burden off of Zach Mettenberger, you've got to be able to run the ball, I think, so much better. And, you know, that's where Marcus Mariota really did help this offense. He's part of the running game because of the read option. You don't have that when you have Zach Mettenberger. He's a traditional pocket passer, so you got to run the ball more effectively.
First half numbers, 30 minutes complete. You know about Houston's struggles in the run game. And despite not a lot of production from Mettenberger and this offense, the Titans, Salmon, just 1 touchdown away.
Yeah, I think the Tennessee Titans need to get going. We talked about the run game. They're going to get the ball here to begin the second half. If they can get the run game going, add some balance, and then the offensive line, so many penalties but it's a young offensive line. If they want to be more stout against J.J. Watt in this defensive line, they can start with the run block.
Novak boots it away. This is McCluster from about 5 yards deep. Had a long punt return of 37 yards late in the second quarter. And a good return here to start the third. A 29-yard run back. Mettenberger under heavy pressure in that first half.
Yeah, he has been hit, hurried, and harassed by this this Houston Texans defense and J.J. Watt. Look, ball being held too long, over 2 seconds, and then he's going to get hit. When you hold the ball this long, over 2 seconds, around 3 seconds in the game, Whitney Merciless getting to him at 2.5. He's got to get rid of the ball a lot faster, a lot quicker if he's going to avoid getting hit.
Antonio Andrews making the start. Play action, and Mettenberger guns it and completes. That's Kendall Wright on a first down pass play. They go right at Jonathan Joseph and pick up 19.
Yeah, this ball was out well before 2 seconds. So that we call that great timing, good rhythm between the quarterback and receiver. That ball was thrown before Kendall Wright came out of his break, and it's hard for the defense in the secondary and Jonathan Joseph to recover when the ball comes out so quickly.
See these statistical leaders. Andrews has struggled to this point, averaging just over 2 yards per take. First and 10. As Andrews was barely able to get back to the line of scrimmage, showing Titans team that beat up Tampa Bay in the opener. Solomon, 5 straight losses since that point. You sit and talk to Ken Wisenhunt, and he still speaks with such conviction. Says that this team is close, not the same team that they were a year ago, and trying to get that final road win.
Well, first of all, today he's without his starting quarterback, Marcus Mariota, who I think functions in the offense just so much better. He's more athletic. He gets the ball out quick. He's very accurate throwing the ball. So they're a different team without Mariota. Having said that, they have been competitive, especially on defense. You put it on tape. It's a young team that's continued to improve.
Mettenberger throwing off his back foot on 2nd and 9. This is Andrews getting downhill. First down catch and run inside the Houston 45, and a late penalty flag comes in after they pick up 13 yards and what appears to be a first down as we await the call.
That flag came in really late. Like Andrews had gone down to the ground. Then we saw the flag come flying in. Wisenhunt just wants to keep his offense on schedule right now. They're moving pretty good on this first possession in the second half.
Illegal block in the back. Offense number 15. The 10-yard penalty from the end of the run. Replay, 2nd down.
It's such a devastating penalty. Now, one of the reasons why this team sits at 1-5 after 5 straight losses. Justin Hunter, the culprit.
2nd down.
And that wipes out a 13-yard first down play by Andrews.
Well, they're going to look. It's going to be right there. You'll see Kendall Wright come in at the last minute. It's Justin Hunter, excuse me, number 15.
So the penalties continue to accumulate. Told you earlier, this is a Tennessee offense that has averaged under 20 points per game. That's 30 of 32 teams in the league. 13 or fewer points in each of the last 3 games. McCluster is lit up. Jonathan Joseph laying a smack on him. And once again, J.J. Watt able to apply the pressure on Mettenberger.
Now take a look. He's going to try to get the ball to either the tight end and stop it right there. Look, I think he could have brought the ball right here instead of throwing it to the back in the flat. He's got to be able to read Jonathan Joseph and understand where to go with the ball.
They've struggled on 3rd down today, just 1 and 7. Mettenberger sacked again. It's merciless. Second multi-sack game in 3 weeks for the 4th-year man out of Illinois.
Oh, they're going to blitz Mettenberger. Right now, he's starting to take a pounding. Look, Merciless starts going up the field, and then he comes around on that stunt. And as he comes back around up the middle, there's no one to get him, and he just plows right through Zach Mettenberger. Look, and they run it right off J.J. Watt. Whitney Merciless right now, he's playing at a tremendously high level with great energy.
Former first-round pick out of Illinois. We signed him, 4-year extension back in May. starting to make some noise after a slow start to the season. Another booming punt from Karn, 55 yards as Hoyer comes back onto the field. Texans first half possessions, a bit of a mixed bag through 2 quarters.
Yeah, 5 of those first 7 possessions, they had to punt and to go 3 and out on 3 of them.
1st and 10, first game for Houston since losing Arian Foster to that devastating Achilles tear. It's been such a dominant part of this offense for such a long time here in Houston. What have you seen so far from Blue and Chris Polk?
Well, they're struggling. They're struggling to run the ball. Only 14 rushing yards early in this game. The offensive line is not getting them to the next level. They haven't had a lot of opportunities because they've elected to really just rely on the arm of Brian Hoyer.
4 down. 54 fight. 180.
Hoyer from the gun. This is 2nd and 8. Completes Hopkins. And a 21-yard touchdown catch in the first half. First down pass play as they pick up 8, going right at Jason McCourty.
Yeah, we said as one of our second half adjustments for the Houston Texans, you got to do more of that. You see one-on-one coverage. You get the ball to DeAndre Hopkins. Came into today's game as the most targeted wide receiver in the NFL.
This is Blue. Finally has some open space in front of him. And speaking of Hopkins and the targets, 101 targets for him entering today. Most through 7 games for any player in the league since 1991. It's been incredible to see.
Well, he gives the offense an opportunity, particularly with Arian Foster out. And because they don't really have that second threat, I think you've got to give him opportunities. You get one-on-one. To me, he's as good as any wide receiver in the National Football League at getting open and coming down with the ball.
That 7-yard run by Blue, by the way, the longest running play of the day. 2nd and 3. Hoyer just desperate to get rid of the football. He had 3 different defenders giving chase. Jarrell Casey lead the charge for Tennessee.
And watch it. They're going to throw a flag because, look, he's going to be back here, but no one is at the top of the screen. Look, by the time they run these routes and they get pressure in the backfield on Hoyer, you're not going to see anyone over there.
Intentional grounding, offense number 7. The spot of the foul is where the ball will be placed. It's a loss of down foul, brings up 3rd down.
All right, Clete Blakeman, our referee today, explaining, and that reaction from Bill O'Brien tells you the story.
Yeah, Hoyer had a sense of panic there, but you can't blame him because the pressure was pouring in on him. The play was ill-conceived, poorly designed. There was no one open. He just wanted to get rid of it and avoid a hit.
So his string of completions ends as you just saw. 3rd and 18. They need the 28 for the first down. Hoyer goes underneath. This is Washington. Long time Tennessee Titan crosses the 20. They pick up 11, but well short of the first down. And so Shane Leckler, the 6-time All-Pro punter, back onto the field. Good coverage by Bleedy Ray Wilson.
And what are we seeing with both offenses, especially here now in the second half? And I think we saw the trend began at the end of the first half. The offenses are moving, and then you get penalties to derail the offense, rob them of their rhythm and pacing, and then here comes the punter.
McCluster has had a nifty day in the return game. Breaks the initial tackle and gets to the 30. Eventually brought down by Alfred Blue. 60-yard punt, 10 yards on the return from McCluster.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Transparency. Low fares, nothing to hide. DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. And by Taco Bell's new Steak Boss Wraps.
So many memorable moments in the Houston Astrodome just across the way here from where we are at NRG Stadium. First multi-purpose dome sports stadium in the world right here in Houston, Texas. We got some memories, Solomon, of playing in that building.
Sure do. Some good players.
Tennessee down 7. Can Mettenberger muster up some offense here? 2nd straight start in relief of Marcus Mariota. Still not ready to come back from the MCL sprain. And with his defense playing as well as it is, they'll continue to give him some chances.
Yeah, and you can see the arm strength from Zach Mettenberger on that throw. Ken Wisenhunt understand he can stand on one hash and throw clear to the out-of-bounds marker on the far side of the field. That was an excellent throw, well-timed, well-designed.
Pitch play to Andrews. Crosses the 45. Look at Andrews go! Making guys miss. Barrels down to the 30-yard line. Kevin Johnson finally brings him down. 28 yards on the run from Andrews.
Yeah, Whitney Merciless. Look, he gets up the field, but they're still able to turn the corner. From there, they're kicking everyone out. He breaks a few tackles. This is maybe the defense we saw last week in Miami from the Texans. But so far today, they've been good right up until that play.
Andrews breaking the initial tackle. We asked Ken Wisenhunt about Andrews yesterday, the young man they took out of Western Kentucky, and said we didn't really know much about him. Practice squad guy last year, missed it a couple of weeks in camp, had a hamstring injury, inactive the first 2 weeks, and here he is supplanting Bishop Sankey as their starter in Week 8.
But he's 5'10", 225 pounds. He's a load, and that's what Wisenhunt and the rest of this coaching staff loves about Antonio Andrews. Runs behind his pads very well. And you can see when he hits the line of scrimmage, he's got some acceleration. Difficult man to get on the ground.
Had a career-high 57 yards rushing against an Atlantic defense that entered their game last week, top-ranked against the run of the NFL. That pass is caught, but Wright is blown up by Kevin Johnson. They dump him for a loss of 3, and Wright is in all kinds of pain.
Yeah, he's holding his knee. You know, this is well played by the first-round pick, Kevin Johnson. He reads it, comes up, and look, that's just a picture-perfect tackle there. But Wright had his leg planted on the ground, and that knee gave way. Take a look at the play here, and you're going to see he's got to get the ball here, but the receivers have to block. At the bottom of the screen, Dorial Green-Beckham whiffs on Kevin Johnson. Johnson comes in at the knee of Wright. You've got to protect your teammate.
Left leg injury, it appeared. Good news is that Wright was able to walk off in his own power. Underneath screen pass, this is McCluster. They needed the 22 for the first down. Looks to be well short. 9 yards through the air as you see Wright now being escorted into the Titans locker room. Leading receiver in terms of yardage entering the day, and what a loss that would be for this offense that has struggled all season.
And you said during the break that Dorial Green-Beckham, ironically, would be replacing Wright if he can't come back in the game.
The man who missed the block.
I'm not going to say that was intentional.
Here's Suckup. Hit from 35 earlier.
They're missing one.
You see them calling to the sideline. Had 10 men on the field.
Yep.
That'll get your head coach hot.
Tennessee takes its first charge timeout. This is the 32nd timeout.
No coach ever likes to be in that position.
They're missing a guy. Now, if you were to go ahead and snap it and try to kick it, it's going to get blocked. Now, the defense would love for you to have snapped it. But they use a timeout. That could come back to haunt them.
.44-yard attempt. So Tennessee burning a timeout to avoid the penalty. We'll see if that comes back to haunt them. Ryan Suckup on to attempts from 44 yards out. On target, plenty of leg, and Suckup connects from 44 yards out. Tennessee inching a little bit closer. 4-point game. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Call of Duty Black Ops 3 bundle. Greatness awaits. And by Hyundai, an official sponsor of the NFL.
Well, since his retirement after the 2004 season, Eddie George, the one-time Titan, also Houston Oiler, has landed several roles in the Nashville theater scene. He has become quite the actor in his post-playing career days.
Can't go wrong learning Shakespeare, can
No, you can't. These two franchises forever intertwined. And Eddie George, a man who has experience on both sides, started his career when the Titans were still known as the Houston Oilers. No doubt has plenty of interest in this game. Let's go to the wisdom of Solomon now here in Week 8.
Let's talk about some notable Houston Oilers. Remember the great Bob Phillips, head coach of the Houston Oilers from 75 to 80. Love you blue. Back-to-back AFC championships in 78, 79. The Tyler Rose, Earl Campbell, the first overall pick of the Houston Oilers in 1978. And Hall of Fame quarterback Warren Moon. 5 of his 9 Pro Bowl appearances were with the Houston Oilers. Remember, the Titans used to be called the Oilers.
1st and 10. So much history between these two franchises forever as Hopkins on a 12-yard catch and a first down. We go to New York and JB.
All right, Spiro, fireworks in Nolans. I'll tell you what, these defenses do not want to play today. Right here, Brandon Cooks gets the touchdown from Drew Brees. Drew Brees on fire, 23 of 27, 360 yards, 5 touchdowns. Back to Spiro.
All right, JB, football comes loose. The officials are going to say incompletion as Hoyer tries to find Keith Mumphrey, the 5th-round pick, the rookie out of Michigan State, and yet another drop by a Texan.
Yeah. Brian Hoyer and his receivers have been plagued by these drop balls, and that one was maybe knocked out of the hand of the receiver more than anything. Looked like Mumphrey had it, and the defender was able to come in and knock it out.
3rd drop by a Texan in this game. Accounting for 3 of Hoyer's 8 incompletions. 2nd and 10. Hoyer guns it near side. Hopkins brought down right after the catch by McCourty at the 40. Injury update on Kendall Wright. It is a knee. His return is questionable.
The DeAndre Hopkins right now is giving them fit. I just believe they got to give him more opportunities. He's the kind of guy that can break the game wide open. And after catching a number of balls on Jason McCourty, look for maybe the double move. If the protection can hold up for Hoyer, they can use a double move to get him down the field on a vertical pass route.
Hoyer on 3rd and 1, throwing for the first down. They got it. It's Hopkins again. Now, Hopkins, as talented as he is, such a fun guy to be around as you see some of his handiwork. Saw him through 2+ quarters.
Oh, he's had a big day. There's no doubt about it. Working the sideline, catching the ball in front of Jason McCourty, behind Jason McCourty for a touchdown. Just continuing to work to get open. 6 catches right now for 70 yards on the day.
Hard snap count by Hoyer on 1st down. Swings it and again finds Hopkins, and the officials say it is a completion. 11 yards and another first down.
Look at him. He's just, I think, a great route runner. You're looking at one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. A young, talented player out of Clemson. Former 1st-round pick 3 years ago. You can see they're working him, and he's putting up the production.
Play action from Hoyer on 1st and 10. Hit on the release. Going end zone. It is caught. Nate Washington for the touchdown. 42 yards from Hoyer.
Just a wonderful route. Nate Washington's on the ground. May have the air knocked out of him a little bit, but it was a strong play action. Take a look. It's going to be play action here, and then he comes out, and there you're going to see him. He's here, but that's Nate Washington getting down in the slot. Now take a look. They'll bring DeAndre Hopkins across the field up top, and look at the slot receiver. There's Nate Washington getting deep on Sensabaugh. Able to haul it in for a touchdown, holding his hip. But see how he goes up vertically to get that ball at its highest point? Perfectly played. What a throw from Hoyer.
And doing it just as he was hit. As Washington gets to his feet, the longtime Tennessee Titans, 6 years with that franchise, doing it against some of his old mates.
We said that they needed one of the other receivers, whether it's Jalen Strong or whether it's Nate Washington with Cecil Shorts out. One of these other guys had to begin to make some plays and yield production outside of DeAndre Hopkins. And I think Nate Washington was listening to us. Over 100 yards receiving 1 week ago, and hauls in a big pass from Hoyer there.
Third touchdown catch of the season, and the 43rd of his 11-year career. Two-time Super Bowl champ as a member of the Steelers as Nick Novak comes on for the point after. Nice embrace between he and his quarterback as Washington snatches it for the 42-yard touchdown. 6-play, 80-yard scoring drive, just over 2 minutes. Looks like Nate Washington is okay, clutching in his lower back. 42-yard touchdown reception from Brian Hoyer.
One heck of a play. Right now, the Houston Texans are rolling both sides of the ball.
Novak boots it away. And this is McCluster from about 4 yards deep in his own end zone. McCluster, a little speed demon, crosses the 25 ahead to the 27-yard line. Another 30-plus yard return from McCluster, that one from 32. Thursday, your weekend starts with a backyard brawl. Cleveland, Cincinnati, Thursday Night Football, only on NFL Network. Happy to have you with us in Houston, NRG Stadium, Spiro Vita, Salmon Wilcox. See some of these statistical comparisons. Nate Washington's 42-yard touchdown reception gives the Texans some breathing room, 17-6. And now can Zach Mettenberger, 0-7 in his career as a starter, finally get the Titans into the end zone. 1st and 10, deals over the middle, it's caught. That's the tight end, Delaney Walker, 7 yards. Nice hook up over the middle.
You see Delaney Walker force Kevin Johnson to miss that tackle in space. I thought Johnson was going to clean his clock, but the nifty footwork of Delaney Walker was able to elude the tackle and still create a sizable gain. I think where this offense really lacks is who's the wide receiver that can create big plays like what we see the Texans getting from Hopkins and Washington.
Keep it on the ground on 2nd and 3. This is Andrews. We asked Delaney Walker about the differences as they are able to pick up the first down here. The differences between Mariota and Mettenberger. He said, you know, Mariota kind of sits, examines the defense, whereas if Zach sees a window or an opening, he's slinging that thing quickly.
There's no doubt about it. And, you know, Mariota's very accurate throwing the ball, but, you know, Zach Mettenberger, yeah, he gets the ball out quick with greater velocity. I watched Mariota at the scouting combine. I thought he throws a well-catchable ball. You don't see many of his balls drop from the intended receiver.
Here's Mettenberger on 1st and 10. Over the middle, they complete. There's now this offense starting to pick up some steam. That's the backup tight end, Craig Stevens. 8th-year veteran Adam Cowell, and former 3rd-round pick back in 08.
And this Titans offense, they have been able to move at times. Two things have gone wrong when they've gotten the penalties or when the pass protection has broken down. When J.J. Watt, Whitney Merciless gets it turned up, this offensive line seems to be overwhelmed when it comes to protecting Zach Mettenberger.
There's Mariota looking on, 2nd straight time he's been in street clothes with that MCL injury. This is Andrews, needed the 48 for the first down. He picks up 3 as they're able to move the chains once again. And Mettenberger now, Solomon, starting to get comfortable. He's completed 9 of his last 10 passes.
Yeah, I think anytime you give him some kind of protection, you can see what he's done in those last 10 pass attempts, starting to get more yards, but nothing really down the field. You know, where are the chunk yards coming from in this offense?
Update from the Houston side, Dwayne Brown, a concussion. His return is questionable. 1st and 10, just inside Texans territory. Look at Andrews take on a tackler.
Wow.
That'll get the confidence of your coaches. 8 yards. Look at this replay.
Max Bullock, 53. You better get low or he'll go right over the top of you. We said that Andrews was a load at 225. Max Bullock, number 53 for the Texans, just found out.
Andrews rushed for nearly 60 yards, most in his young career last week against that stout Atlanta defense. Introduces himself to Bullock on that play. Second and short. Play action. J.J. Watt, boy, they tried to chip him at the last instant. Gets to Mettenberger nonetheless.
Wow. The running back tries to go at the legs of Watt right here. But look, we call that chipping the chipper. Andrew, he's supposed to be the chipper. J.J. Watt took care of him and still came away with a sack.
Loss of 8. Watt getting to the quarterback. 7th sack of the season for J.J. Watt. And that takes us to the fourth quarter, 17-6. As we'll begin with a critical 3rd and 10. Mettenberger from the gun. That was the 13th career sack for Watt against Tennessee, most against any team in the NFL.
We'll see if the protection can hold up for Mettenberger.
Throws far side of the field. It's intercepted. Kevin Johnson, the rookie corner, making a play for the Houston defense. 23 yards on the return from Johnson. His first career interception.
Well, this ball is trying to go outside to Dorial Green-Beckham. Mettenberger cuts it loose, but it's just good coverage by the first-round pick, Kevin Johnson. Take a look here. It's going to be right here to the outside, and this is a long throw. But watch the positioning and the coverage. It's thrown behind the intended receiver. So Kevin Johnson does what he's supposed to do. You intercept it. And we said that at the top that Mettenberger tends to throw the ball hard and high, and just outside the framework of the receiver tends to get intercepted. You just saw an illustration of it right there.
1st and 10. Good field position for Hoyer in this offense as Chris Polk able to pick up minimal yardage as we take another look.
There's the interception right there. We said that Mettenberger tend to throw those costly interceptions. There was a coach that seemed to have gotten hit on that sideline. Mettenberger, Marcus Mariota talking it over.
And as you can see, the NFL sideline could be a dangerous place. One of the assistant coaches on that Tennessee side taking a hard hit at the end of that return by Johnson. 2nd and 8. Hoyer's going to take a chance. Near side, trying to connect with Hopkins. Going right at his ex-mate at Clemson, Cody Sensabaugh, who wins that battle.
Well, this ball is woefully underthrown by Hoyer. Allows Sensabaugh to catch up. And I thought there was some contact by Sensabaugh there, but he was looking back for the ball. But it was wobbly, it was underthrown, and had you get that ball out over the top, Hopkins going to run right under it for a touchdown. Got man-to-man coverage again on the outside.
3rd and 8. Hoyer over the middle, and that was nearly picked. As Brian Arakpo dropping back in coverage nearly made a massive play for Tennessee.
This is the zone blitz scheme from Dick LeBeau, allowing the outside linebackers to peel in underneath that throw intended for the tight end Garrett Graham. And look at Arakpo. He can't believe he dropped it. How many times did we see an outside linebacker like James Harrison in Dick LeBeau's defense in Pittsburgh get those kind of interceptions, even in a Super Bowl, to make big plays?
Arakpo told us yesterday how much fun he's had in this Dick LeBeau, Ray Horton defense. What a play by the linebacker there. 36-yard punt in an 11-point game. 17-6. Big Bang Theory back on Thursday. Don't miss a new episode of TV's #1 comedy on its new night, The Big Bang Theory, Thursday, 8/7 Central, only CBS. Well, can Zach Mettenberger put this offense on his back? He's on his back. Football comes loose. Texans recover. Jared Crick, the man who falls on it. It was Watt who stripped him. And now we await the penalty from Clete Blakeman.
Holding. Offense, number 78. Penalty decline. Houston gets the ball, 10-yard line, first and goal.
That's Joe Looney making the start a week after they signed him. Second sack for Watt. Third turnover from the Titans.
Yeah, watch J.J. Watt. Comes away with a sack, the strip, forced fumble right here. And if you're Mettenberger, you've got to hold that ball high and tight. Jarrett Crick falls on it, but not until Watt knocks it out of the park by creating a turnover. His ability to hit and hustle and just the energy and intensity that he plays with, that's why he makes so many plays.
Watt has multiple sacks against Tennessee in 6 of the last 7 meetings. Hard to believe. First and goal. This is Hoyer going end zone, incomplete. So Hopkins with 3 defenders, Solomon, in his area, trying to come through the back of the end zone. At some point, you need your backup quarterback to start making plays. Is Mettenberger now really struggling?
And Wisenhunt told us that Mettenberger is going to be a good NFL quarterback. Now, if he wants to be a good backup in his career, keep playing like he's playing now. But if he wants to be a really good quarterback in this league and be a starter, he's got to be able to put points on the board, carry his football team because he's playing with a really good defense.
It's certainly harder to make plays with J.J. Watt applying the kind of pressure we've seen from him. That's Chris Polk picking up 3 as this Tennessee defense desperately tries to hold the Texans to a field goal.
Now, Watt's making plays, but, you know, if you're Mettenberger, you can't blame J.J. Watt for everything. We saw in the Chris Johnson interception where he was well protected, threw the ball behind the receiver, and still came up with the pick. Sooner or later, you got to start making plays for your football team when the opportunity is there.
Third and goal, quick screen pass. This is Fedorowicz. Well played by that Tennessee defense. They pick up only a yard, and on 4th goal and goal, the field goal unit onto the field for the Texans.
It's okay. I mean, you know, Hoyer's smart. I love the way he does manage games and moments within the game. He's not going to risk a turnover, knowing that they just got the ball with points on the board. Come away with 3 more points. Put this game out of reach. They would have loved to have had the touchdown for Bill O'Brien, but they'll take the field goal.
Told you about the story for the Texans. They win today. And you combine that with a potential Colts loss at Carolina tomorrow night. They can end the night tomorrow, even with Indianapolis in the standings atop the AFC West. J.J. Watt doing it for the Houston defense. Multiple sacks and creating a turnover to get him a 20-6 lead.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon. Watch live primetime games with NFL Mobile only on Verizon. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. And by Acura, the leading automotive brand in safety performance.
Houston Texan fans still in the Halloween spirit as the calendar page turns to November. Field goal by Nick Novak gives the Texans a 20-6 lead early in the 4th quarter. Solomon, Titans running out of time.
Yeah, they're running out of time for this offense to wake up and begin to be productive under Zach Mettenberger. We already said this offense is quite different without Marcus Mariota. They're limited at the athletic portion of what the quarterback would normally bring to the table had Mariota been in today's game.
Mariota on the shelf for his 2nd straight week, and Mettenberger struggled until this point.
Yeah, and this was last week. Okay, at the end of the first half, threw an interception. At the end of the game, in 4th quarter, with the game on the line, threw another costly interception. And then we see it again today here in the 2nd half. The interception, Kevin Johnson, and then the fumble in the shadow of his own goal line. J.J. Watt able to pry the ball loose. So 2 turnovers last week by Mettenberger, another 2 turnovers today.
See the interceptions thrown as a starter. Longest streak is to see Mettenberger trying to do something positive for his team with 12:33 left in the 4th. 1st and 10 has time over the middle. That's Walker, the tight end, spun out of bounds after a pickup of 11, and now another penalty marker thrown in the Tennessee backfield.
Right tackle Jeremy Patasi is really challenged by J.J. Watt.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Defense, number 99. Late hit on the quarterback. Penalties 15 yards from the end of the run. First down, Tennessee.
And we've seen Watt struggle with these penalties over the last 3 weeks.
Well, he's so close. He's coming around, and look, just as he's about to get the hit, see, the ball comes out. But, yeah, he's got to pull up there. He's smart enough, been in the league long enough to just not take the man to the ground.
So the reaction from Mettenberger. Watt still shaking his head. And that's a huge penalty for a Tennessee team that has struggled for positive yardage here in the second half. A cluster in motion lines up at the bottom of your picture on 1st and 10. Mettenberger sacked again. 5th team sack for the Texans. And number 3 from Whitney Merciless.
Well, both he and Watt come off the corner, and Mettenberger had nowhere to go. He tried to step up and climb the pocket, but he just couldn't see. He's here, that's Watt. Merciless come here, but watch these guys in the middle because there's nowhere to go as the pocket collapses around Mettenberger. Now, Mettenberger is not nearly as athletic and as mobile as Marcus Mariota, and that's where the defense really can take advantage of it when the athletic quarterback is on the sideline.
Merciless tied the franchise mark for sacks in 2012 with 6. He's got 3 of them in this game alone. On 2nd and 16, this is Andrews. Getting close to the 50, brought down by Brian Cushing. And now the biggest 3rd down play for the Titans today. Solomon, what direction are they looking to attack here?
Well, see, they're limited in terms of what they can do because the offensive line can't protect against Whitney Merciless and J.J. Watt. They'd love to be able to get an isolation with one of their talented wide receivers, but more importantly, I think with the tight end, Delaney Walker. Now, given the fact that it's 3rd and 9, the ball's got to come out quick. You can't hold on to it because here comes J.J. Watt. Here comes Whitney Merciless.
Mettenberger on 3rd and 9. They get to him again. Jared Crick. And the Texans defense bringing Tennessee and Mettenberger to their knees.
Oh, the receivers are covered downfield. Jonathan Joseph's got Dorial Green Beckham locked up. Look at Pleasant. Even though the tight end, Delaney Walker, comes open late, this is what was in the face of Zach Mettenberger. Crick, Watt. 6th sack on the day for the Texans defense.
2nd sack on the season for Crick, the 4th-year man and former 4th-round pick out of Nebraska. Fair catch by Mumphrey, 40 yards on the punt from Brett Kern. What a response for this Houston defense after last week. Never miss a moment of football action with the CBS Sports app. Every play and score, every game, and every highlight right as they happen. Download the CBS Sports app at cbssports.com/mobile. That's Alfred Blue, able to cross the 25. He picks up 5, brought down by Jarrell Casey, and now the objective for the Texans, start to chew down that clock.
Yeah, this is where you find out a little bit more about Alfred Blue in his 2nd year out of LSU. And played with Jeremy Hill there, played with a lot of talented players at LSU, but this is where he can eat clock, but he's got to protect the football.
20.
Here is Blue again, finds the edge, 1st down. As he lunges across the 30, picks up 8 yards, and on the absence now of Arian Foster, it's Alfred Blue's show.
Now watch the patience here. See, he doesn't just go get it, but when he sticks that foot in the ground right there, and look at him, get skinny to get through that hole, get to the next level. He knew where that 1st down marker was.
A lot of Blue now on this drive, inside at 9 minutes. Blue told us yesterday that he watched tape of Devontae Freeman and how he handled this Tennessee defensive line, all the penetration that they get from that game between those 2 teams last week, and it's paid off.
I think what he learned from watching Devontae Freeman is you got to know where Jarrell Casey is, because he is the great penetrator, number 99. He's going to try to wreck that offensive line in that zone blocking scheme. So you got to run off him and then get going downhill to get to the next level.
Injured Titan is their 2nd-year linebacker, Avery Williamson. Such a promising start to his career, 5th-round pick out of Kentucky. was their best rookie defender a year ago. And it looks like he's going to try to grit his teeth and fight through, and now he goes back down to a knee. Tennessee trainers come onto the field. Williamson had an interception last week on that 4th down play on the goal line. One of a number of huge defensive plays that they had against Atlanta, as we'll step aside.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Spectre, in theaters November 6th. And by Subway. Come in for National Sandwich Day, Tuesday, November 3rd.
Now the kids of the Children's Museum of Houston getting into the spirit of Halloween. And what would it be without a little thriller action for you as we welcome you back to NRG Stadium. Tennessee's defense still coming. Down 20-6. They get to Hoyer for their 3rd sack, and Zach Brown just coming in a moment ago for Williamson gets to the quarterback.
Look at the big boy, 55 and 99. We told you, Jarrell Casey now, he is the great penetrator, and when he's penetrating, you have to double team him with that big body. Zach Brown taking advantage of the one-on-one blocking on the edge.
You see Williamson, the injured 2nd-year linebacker, on the sideline. Casey entered the day 3.5 sacks. 2nd team All-Pro selection a couple of years back. See the 3rd down conversions from Houston. 3rd and long. Hoyer's pass is incomplete. Intended for the rookie Jalen Strong. 3rd round pick out of Arizona State. Would have been well short of the 1st down nonetheless, as the Texans will punt. 7:30 remaining.
Last time they played here, remember him on that Thursday night game and the Hail Mary play at halftime, hauling it in for Hoyer. And now he's got to be productive on a consistent basis.
A lot of teams felt like Strong had 1st round talent, ended up falling to the 3rd round. As he continues on in his rookie season, that's McCluster across the 20, close to the 25. Boy, what a day Shane Leckler has had. A 55-yard punt, 7 yards on the return. There's J.J. Watt, speaking of good days, another multi-sack performance against the Titans.
Yeah, for him it starts with energy and hustle. And then his first step coming off the ball, he finds his way to the quarterback early and often in ball games. Even if you double team him or chip him, look at that, he splits the defenders or offensive players, I should say, and still able to come away with 2.5 sacks on the day with J.J. Watt.
Ken Mettenberger makes some plays for Tennessee, some movement pre-snap.
False start. Offense, number 79. 5-yard penalty. Replay 1st down.
That's Jamon Meredith, the 7th-year tackle out of South Carolina.
Yeah, he's trying to block J.J. Watt. And can you blame him? Look at this. He's right there, trying to get back, just trying to protect the quarterback. A little early. Sense of urgency when you're having to block number 99.
Just another example of Watt's dominance and some of the things he does don't necessarily show up in his stat line at the end of the game. 1st and 15, caught by Walker. Crosses the 30. Falls close to the 1st down marker. They pick up 13, still a couple of yards short. It'll be 2nd down.
Mettenberger now trying to speed it up a little bit. Talk about sense of urgency. Got to get it moving.
Second and 2. Mettenberger deals near side. It is caught. 1st down pass play to Justin Hunter. First appearance for Hunter in Houston since that devastating hit he took here last year. Lacerated spleen. Spent a couple of days in a local area hospital. Had to be thinking about that as he walked into the stadium earlier this morning. Draw play, McCluster. Boy, Houston wasn't fooled, but McCluster able to duck underneath Merciless, who thought that he had it buried. What a play by McCluster to pick up 2.
His defense is swarming. Look right here. That's where Merciless comes from. Look, when he's not able to haul him in, Taylor Lewan draped all over Merciless.
Mettenberger gets up quickly. 2nd and 8, complete. as Tennessee now moves inside Houston territory. That's Anthony Fasano, their number 2 tight end. First down, they pick up 9 yards.
Right now, the defense is giving them the short underneath stuff, and if you're Zach Mettenberger, you better go ahead and take it.
2 timeouts left for the Titans as we move on to 6 minutes left. Mettenberger pump fakes over the middle and through the hands of his intended receiver. That was McCluster. It'll be 2nd and 10.
He goes you hard and high sometimes from Mettenberger. This one goes a little high, and I think they're lucky that one wasn't intercepted as it came off the fingertips of Dexter McCluster.
There's Ken Wisenhunt, just 3-19 as the Titans head coach since taking over before last season. Says they're close. Led against Atlanta 7-3 at halftime last week. Can they finally break through and find some late game magic? Not on this play. Mettenberger buried again. Merciless in 1. 7th team sack for the Texans.
Both offensive tackles are struggling. Taylor Lewan here against Merciless, and then J.J. Watt against 79 Meredith. Neither guy gets their assignment done. Merciless and Watt, they're feasting on Zach Mettenberger. That's not the name of a sandwich here in Houston, is it?
It should be.
It may as well be.
They've got 3.5 sacks each, do Merciless and Watt. A dominant performance from those two and this Houston defense as the Titans will burn their 2nd timeout. Breaking the action gives us a chance to remind you that the Subway postgame show comes up after this one ends. JB, Tony, Bart Boomer, and Coach Cower standing by in New York. Take you around the league here in Week 8. All coming up next on the Subway postgame show. Well, not many plays that you have to draw up for a 3rd and 19. They need something here from Mettenberger. Caught. That's Walker. 5th catch of the season. And no doubt 4 down territory here as they're about 3, 4, maybe 5 yards short.
Absolutely. You know, there are plays out there for this offense to make. It does start with this very young offensive line. They've taken Patasi out and put Jamon Meredith in at the right tackle position, number 79. He's a more veteran, the most veteran offensive lineman in his 7th season out of South Carolina.
5th catch of the day, I beg your pardon, for Walker. Where do they go here on 4th and 4? One last gasp for the Titans. Mettenberger, near side, batted down and incomplete. Jonathan Joseph with a defensive gem.
Joseph is the most consistent defensive back in this Texans secondary, and he reads it. And even though that rocket arm of Mettenberger can drive the ball, look how he breaks on this one. Coming downhill, perfect angle. Doesn't try to do too much. He just makes sure on 4th down, you don't have to go for the interception. You just bat it down. Good timing, good footwork. Great play by Jonathan Joseph.
Oh, we talked to him yesterday about playing without his longtime mate in the defensive backfield, Kareem Jackson. Big adjustment that it's been. Said there were times where those two don't even have to verbally communicate. They're so in tune with each other. Solomon, you know what that is like as we get a penalty marker coming in.
Holding defense number 96. It's a 5-yard penalty from the end of the run. 1st down, Houston.
Let's get you back to New York, get an update with JB.
Tony, any D in New Orleans? Not at all. Still no defense being played in this game, JB. Right here, Eli Manning's going to roll out, looking for somebody downfield. He hits Dwayne Harris. This is 4th down. They scored the touchdown. Both QBs have combined for 11 touchdowns. That was Eli's 5th. Back to Spiro Ditas.
All right, guys, high-scoring game there in New Orleans. As Alfred Blue tries to chew up that clock, we come up on the final 4 minutes. And Tennessee down to their final timeout.
That game in New Orleans, that's like 7-on-7, isn't it? You know, those two quarterbacks, no defense being played. Just the way some like it.
What a crazy year it's been around the NFL. You look at the NFC East. Giants finding success after some early hiccups. And how about the AFC South? Told you about Houston. 2-5 entering the day. If they can wrap this up and then watch the Colts lose against Carolina tomorrow night, they could end Week 8 even in the standings with the Colts. So as crazy as it sounds, do you give them a realistic chance to win this division with the Colts continuing to struggle?
Yeah, the Colts are struggling, and that's the reason why. Their offensive line is woeful, and they can't protect their quarterback, Andrew Luck. In fact, you know, Matt Hasselbeck has to be the guy standing on deck there because you don't know who you're going to get from week to week. And so, yeah, it's a division that's still wide open.
180. Let's hit.
Here's Hoyer on 3rd and 3, completes. Hopkins making a miss. Wisely stays in bounds and basically takes a knee at the 30. First down hookup. They pick up 14 yards. Hoyer to Hopkins.
Look, he's working against Cody Sensabaugh, pushes him, then jukes him. Look, he's working his way in that secondary. We talked about how talented he is. I think he reads coverages really well. I think he's elusive in terms of his ability to escape the jam at the line of scrimmage. He's got superb hands. He'll catch anything in his vicinity, and what a competitor on each and every play.
Chris Polk now featured back. Will keep it on the ground, and Polk will get barely back to the line of scrimmage. We asked Cody Sensabaugh about Hopkins. Of course, those two played at Clemson. He's like, who, Nuke? Apparently that was the type of pacifier that DeAndre liked as a child. But such a long history between those two. He said that he was the upperclassman when Hopkins came in, and he said even at the age of 17, he knew that Hopkins had the best hands of any receiver he'd ever been around. And boy, that has shown from Hopkins over the first 2+ years of his NFL career. 2-minute warning on CBS. Bob McNair, middle of your screen, owner of this franchise here in Houston. His son Cal on your left, vice chairman, and Rick Smith, the general manager, who's had a busy week here with some of the personnel decisions that they've had to make. Well, next Sunday, the NFL on CBS deals doubleheader action. Some of you will see Derek Carr and the Raiders take on Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers. Peyton Manning against Andrew Luck. What a matchup that will be. All the fun starts with the team that'll bring you Super Bowl 50, JB, Tony, Bart, Coach, and Boomer on the NFL today. Well, Bob McNair has to be feeling a little bit better about his team after what he watched last week.
Yeah, there was a lot of things swirling around after that beating they took in Miami last week. Rick Smith had to come out and quell rumors that he and his head coach, Bill O'Brien, were at odds over the decision to release their backup quarterback during the week, and they had to let Ryan Mallett go. They agreed they were going to let him go. It was all about the timing of when they were going to let him go.
There was blue. Now, the report was that O'Brien wanted to release him before the game, which would have basically meant that Shane Leckler would have been their emergency quarterback. And we met with O'Brien yesterday. He's like, look, I'm not crazy. That's not how I wanted to go.
It would not have been the right thing to do. They had to get through that game. There's no doubt about it. And, you know, sometimes, you know, once I may get emotional, I think the ability to reason and understand that, okay, there's a process here and how you release a player, when you're going to get that done, can you sign the other player, who's going to come in. So a lot of those things have to take place. You just can't fly off on your emotions and say, hey, because this guy broke rules, let's cut him. You have to have a plan of what comes next. And I think it was just a meeting of the minds in terms of when they were going to execute the release of Ryan Mallett, and then understanding who was going to come in his stead. But they know Brian Hoyer is their guy moving forward. It's going to be interesting to see what they do at the quarterback position beyond 2015.
TJ Yates brought back second stint with the team. He will forever be remembered by Texans fans as the quarterback of record back in 2011 when they clinched their first ever postseason berth as this new franchise, and was their quarterback for their first postseason win.
I would just want to go back and offer as evidence that, you know, in terms of what Rick Smith is saying and Bill O'Brien. Remember, it was Bill O'Brien who wanted to bring in Ryan Mallett.
That's right.
To begin with. I find it hard to believe that they would disagree strongly over, one wanting to cut him and one wanting to keep him. They do have a good relationship. Both have stated so during the week.
Fourth and 6. Electing to just go for it instead of bringing out the field goal unit. They'll chew up some of the remaining 60-plus seconds with Alfred Blue, as he now sits just under 40 yards on the ground. Another reminder, the Subway postgame show coming up next. The guys standing by in New York. Bits around the NFL, scores and highlights in week number 8 on the Subway postgame show. Special thanks to our entire crew, Ryan Galvin, Andy Goldberg, our producer and director, and the rest of the folks, Alana Campbell, Day Ellis, Stephen Florval, Adam Cohen, Wayne Richardson in the truck, and here in the booth, Rusta Lynn and Rich Gaynor. 62 seconds left as the Texans inching closer to their 3rd win of the season. In the meantime, the frustration, Solomon, will continue for a Titans team that will drop its 6th consecutive game since that opening day loss against Tampa Bay. Coming up, bonus coverage, Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. How about that score? Ben Roethlisberger making his return and keeping that vaunted Bengals offense down to 6 points. That pass from Mettenberger nearly picked.
Many of these races are just beginning to heat up in the division. And I said all along, even though the Bengals have been just churning it out, 6-0, trying to become 7-0 for the first time in franchise history, that the Steelers have stayed close and that it's not going anywhere because it's hotly contested in that AFC North division.
Mettenberger on 2nd and 10 completes. That's McCluster. Well, let's update the standings now in the AFC South. Houston will get to 3-5 and will sit just a half game back as Mettenberger looks like he's shaken up. Again, Indianapolis will take on Carolina tomorrow on the road on Monday Night Football. Panthers, of course, one of the remaining undefeated teams. As you take another look at Mettenberger, who is still taking punishment.
Yeah, J.J. Watt doesn't take it easy. It'd be seconds left on the clock, and he gets a chance to hit the quarterback. Well, he's going to do that. He knows that's his job, and that's why Bob McNair signed the big check for J.J. Watt.
There is no yardage penalty. However, we also charge 10-second runoff. So with the clock operator, please put 13 seconds on the game clock. 13 seconds.
Tennessee did not have a timeout left, so they do the runoff. And that'll take the game clock down to 13 seconds. It looks like we may have Charlie Whitehurst here. And we will. Whitehurst will come in. They'll get Mettenberger off the field. Whitehurst, who has bounced between being their number 2 and number 3 quarterback. 10th year man out of Clemson. And he'll run 1, maybe 2 plays here. And now they'll just run out the clock. The Houston Texans are going to get to 3-5 on the season as they bounce back from that nightmare in Miami last week. 20-6 your final. Now for Solomon Wilcots, our entire CBS crew, this is Spiro Dinas saying goodbye from Houston. You've been watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 50. Coming up next, it's the Subway postgame show, but now bonus coverage between Cincinnati and Pittsburgh as they go down to the finish.